Let's go fly. Hello hobbyists, welcome back to Motion RC. I'm James here with another quick tip. Now whether you drive RC cars, fly electric RC aircraft, helicopters, you name it, if you're using LiPo batteries, you will eventually want to get yourself a LiPo charger. Now LiPo chargers, especially these computer ones, most of them are very similar as far as their functionality, but it's very important to understand just how to properly charge a LiPo battery, and also the different menus that come in your LiPo charger, like this one we have here from Sky RC. This is the Ultimate Duo. It gives you two different options. You could charge two batteries of different types at the same time, and it's awesome, but it'll help you balance. You might hear these things: balance your LiPos, storage charge your LiPos, all those different types of things. A charger like this and most advanced computer chargers, especially the ones we carry at Motion RC, are going to be able to do that. The purpose of this video though is quickly, we're just going to walk around the charger, we're going to plug it in, show you the different ports, because again, most chargers are similar, so you'll see a lot of the same things, and then we'll just tell you briefly what all the menus are. But then in future videos, we're going to show you how to properly balance charge, storage charge, and all that stuff, and obviously do some advanced charging for you guys once you get more ready for that type of stuff. So let's get started walking around this charger. So now first things first, your charger, especially like the Ultimate Duo, they all plug in different ways, but for the most part, most good chargers will be able to plug in with a DC power. So this one actually would use like an XT90 connector I could power this by, or your typical AC. And that's where I'm usually doing most of my charging. Whether you're bringing a generator out to the field, you're usually plugging in with an AC cord. I already have it plugged in under the table, but like any computer, any big electronic, you're gonna plug it in with your AC power. So now a big charger like this is a 400 watt charger. It could do some other things that smaller chargers can't. So like this one on the side has some DC output options. So if I wanted to plug in a smaller charger, anything up to 10 amps, you could power anything off the power that this is plugged into. We're not gonna use that. I don't think I've ever used it on this charger before, but it's there. It's a nice option, especially for guys going out to the field and need an extra way to power something else. But what we really wanna be concerned about are all these ports on the front, especially your balance port and the ports here labeled 1 and labeled 2 with the positive and negatives. This is how you're going to end up charging your battery. A charger like this does come with two what are called balance ports. If you ever start playing with LiPo batteries, you'll notice that you do have your regular charge port, and this is how you plug in your plane, but you'll always see this little guy hanging off the side. That's your balance port. So that's the way you're going to be able to check the cells on your battery to see how charged they are. But also, whenever you do a balance charge, this is what you're going to use to plug in. So balance port plugs in. Normally they're made perfectly to fit. This charger itself can do up to a 7S battery, but you would plug them in like so, and then you would get some leads. So like I have a charge lead for an XT60 connector that you see here that'll work for a battery like this, and then you have a charge lead for a EC5 connector, which will work for a battery like this. You're always going to want to match up your balance port to your charge lead cable to the head on your battery. So let's get these plugged in. Now, you always want to be sure that you're doing it with the positive and negatives in mind. Red to red, black to black. But the beauty about an electronic charger, it'll let you know if it's plugged in wrong. It'll beep really loudly at you, but you never want to do that anyway. You might as well do it right the first time. So you want to get these plugged in. So this side would have our EC5, and this side would have our XT60. So now, when you have it all set up like this, you'd be ready to go. But now some of the other ports that like this one features, you do have temperature gauges. They actually give you a little way to charge your cell phone or something out the side. A USB port, again, you could charge your cell phone out at the field. So something like this, if your field has power, if you're out there, this is great because I could do a lot more than just charge LiPos when you're out in the field. But for the purpose of this video, again, let's just talk about the charger. So now I'm going to get it set up, angled right for the camera, and then we're going to show you the screens on the charger. Okay, so everything's plugged in. Now you can see that we're focused directly on the screen you're getting, just one of the screens, because we're only going to play with one side. I'm going to turn it on with the switch in the back. And now when it loads up, most of your chargers, I think something like 95% of your chargers are going to have similar menus, at least similar functions when it comes to charging a LiPo. So we're just going to roll through them. So the first things first, when it pops up, it'll probably start in the last spot you ended, but mine pops up with a battery program at the top and then LiPo Battery. So that means if I press the enter button here, I will be ready to charge a LiPo battery. But let's push the positive and negative buttons and show you just what other options you have. So you have the ability to charge a Life battery, a lithium ion battery. Again, a lot of times you might be flying with a lithium ion. You always want to be in the proper program. Then you have a lithium high voltage battery. So that would be a specific type of battery. You'd know you'd have one of those. Then you have a nickel metal hydride battery. You have a NiCad battery. Then you have a PB battery. There's DGI. This one has a DGI option for a different type of battery. Then you also have the ability to enter what's called a battery meter mode. And we're just going through them all. You could check your battery resistance. And then you have ability to change the system settings within your charger. So if I click enter there, we'll just show you what are some of those options. So you could have your max power you could set. And if you ever want to change an option, what you would do is hit enter. It'll start flashing and you could start racking this around. I never played with that. I keep it at the 200 watts, but if you want to max it out, you can. You have the ability to do that. Then you'd have your synchronization, which I've always left off. Safety timer, so this is a great way to, if your battery is charging for longer than 120 minutes, it'll automatically turn off. You could set a safety timer maybe for 30 minutes, say you think you're gonna leave, but we'll talk about safety, battery safety in a little bit, because when you're charging a LiPo, you never wanna leave it unattended. You have your capacity cutoff. Again, these are safety features. All of these things, temperature cutoff, can be done within the settings menu. You could change from Celsius to Fahrenheit. And again, all these, I'm just gonna rack through them. All different settings. Beeps, the buzzers, you could change that for when you hear it's done. Low timer, and eventually you'll get back to the beginning. So you could load your factory settings to get back to it, and we're back to the entry. If I want to exit, you always hit the stop button. So now we're back to the main program menu, and now we're gonna go to our LiPo battery, because that's the most popular of all, and most of the screens though, when it comes into the battery, are all gonna work the same way. So I'm gonna go into that menu. Now here's where you also get different options of what to do with your battery. So right now we are in a LiPo balance mode. That is the only way I charge a lithium polymer battery. Anything with 2 cells or more, I always want to balance each cell within a LiPo battery. As you'll see, there are some other options though. We have LiPo charge. Now this is confusing for a beginner. You might think, oh, let me just LiPo charge. The problem with a LiPo charge is it'll just charge up the entire battery, and when one cell reaches the max, it's gonna cut off. So it actually won't balance your battery. It'll just charge them. And that over time, that can degrade your LiPo batteries if you just do a charge. You always want to charge a balance charge a LiPo battery so that you know both cells are charged. You'll get longer life out of them and better health out of your battery cells over time. Then you have a fast charge. I've never used this because again, it isn't a balance charge. So it'll charge even faster, and I don't know why it even exists. I wish they'd take this option out. It's not something I've ever used. I wouldn't suggest any beginners ever using a mode like this. LiPo storage. This is my second most used mode on a LiPo charger, and we will do a whole video on storage charging your batteries. But basically, you could plug your LiPo battery in, get it set up right for the proper cells, hit the button, and obviously staying with your battery, but you will put your battery into a storage mode, which will keep your battery lasting longer over time. You'll get more usage out of them. We never want to store a LiPo battery fully charged. Then you have a LiPo discharge, which again, this can just discharge your LiPos, but the storage charge does that as well, so I always use the storage charge mode, because this can actually discharge your batteries past a low voltage, and you never want your batteries to go lower than a certain voltage. So again, another one of those options that I'm sure is there, but it's not widely used. I've never heard of anyone using it. But obviously there if you need the option, because there are other ways, there are other things aside from RC that people use LiPo batteries for. And then it goes back to balance. So really, as I said, the balance mode and the storage mode are your two most useful when it comes to playing with batteries. Now if I go to balance, now how do you change these numbers? And what do these mean? So we're going to quickly do one quick balance charge on the one pack here, and then we'll wrap this video up. Alright guys, so I have a 4,000 milliamp 6-cell LiPo here. This is one of our widely most common used packs, but again, this is the EC5 connector as I explained earlier. So we're going to get this plugged in quick to show you, and then we're going to show you what settings you're going to use real quick to prepare for a balance charge. But then we're going to do a whole nother video on just balance charging different LiPo batteries. But real quick to finish this video, so you want to plug in, again, most of your connectors, it's impossible to plug them in backwards. They're shaped a certain way, but you always want to have red to red and black to black when you plug in. And then next thing, you're going to take your balance port and you're going to plug it into the balance tap here. Now you're looking for the one that says 6S, but these are keyed and they're only going to fit in one. You can't fit it into all the other ones, so eventually you're going to find the one that it can fit into, and it keys in nicely. And when it's plugged in like that, you are now prepared to start using the charger with the LiPo battery. So going back to our screen, when we are in LiPo balance mode, you see this is pretty much already set up for 6S, but if I hit enter, when I'm in that mode, you'll start seeing flashing. So now we can play with our amps per hour. We always want to charge our batteries safely. If you're a beginner, you should always charge at a 1C charge. What does that mean? If your battery like this is a 4,000 milliamp battery, that means I want to charge at 4 amps. Rather than, and let's say if I double that, 8 amps would be a 2-cell charge. Yes, the battery will charge faster than a 1-cell charge, but over time, fast charging your batteries like that could degrade them and you'll get less life out of them in the long run. When you have the time, it's always best to charge them in a 1-cell fashion. So we just rack this down using the negative button. We're going to put that at 4 amps. And you see that's flashing, that's where we want to go. Then I'll hit enter. Now here's where you get to change the types of cells. Now some chargers, they will automatically read the cells when you plug it in. I've seen that. The menu looks the same, but if you plug in a 3-cell, it'll automatically change to 3 or 6, so on and so forth. But for the purpose of this one, it doesn't do that. But I'll just show you, you can rack it down and it'll change what the, the voltage of a 3-cell battery would be 11.1. You can rack it all the way to, again, this charger does 7S. Some do even higher and some do lower, but we would be at 6 cells. So if I have that, everything looks good. All I would do is push and hold the play button. You'll hear the beep and then it'll ask you to confirm. If you don't hit anything from here, it'll automatically revert back to the old menu you just saw like that and nothing will happen. So you gotta push the button, listen, and then you wanna confirm it by pushing enter. And then you will start seeing, things happening. You'll start seeing the amount of amperage that's going into your battery. This will start to increase. You'll see the total battery voltage here. And that'll correspond to what you did at the front. Again, about 25.2 would be a fully charged 6-cell battery. So that's what we're waiting for it to get to. And then you'll see the time on the monitor here. So that's how long it's been on the charger. And if you went into your settings, if this battery didn't fully charge, let's say you set the safety timer to 30 minutes, at 30 minutes it'll automatically stop and you'd have to start it over again. Again, a safety cutoff is a good thing to have. I have mine set to 2 hours, but I never charge my batteries when I'm not there. But now one of the beauties about this, you can also look at different menus. When you hit the plus button, you can see all the individual cells and where they currently are. So right now, this battery, all the cells are at 3.97, and they will all start to rise. But since I'm balance charging, and now you hear the fan kick on to keep the heat down, but when I'm balance charging, eventually I want to see all those cells go to 4.2 volts. And that's what a balance charge is going to do. If you put it in the regular charge function and hit the button, you might charge up 5 of these cells to 4.2, but what if one is only at 4.1? You might have a bad battery and not realize it. It'll say that it's charged, but it's not doing a balance charge, which is why we always want to do a balance charge. Then if I hit the plus button again, you'd see your voltage. That's for a different thing. But then you have fuel. Like right now it shows you the life. We're at 77%. Fuel, if you will, 3.98 volts average over all the cells. So that'll go up. And then if I hit the negative sign, that'll take me to a chance to end the voltage. It'll show in power voltage. They'll give you all different readouts. Show you the temperature. And then your safety timer. Again, I have that on to 120 minutes. So you can get to all these other menus while you're in there. But then if you hit the stop button, it'll take you back to this and it'll end the charge. So you would have to start it over. Now, as we start this again, if you want to get back to this initial screen, what you would do is, as it starts to charge, you see we're in where all the cells are. When I hit enter, it'll take me back to that beginning menu. And quickly, guys, that would be just how you're going to balance charge a LiPo battery. It'll work with an XT60. This battery here could be working on the other side. But now, when I'm all done, I want to make sure that I stop my charge. And then what I want to do, I always want to unplug my connector from the battery first. You never want to unplug your battery while it's plugged into this lead from the charger at the port. If these two ends meet, you're going to see fireworks, and that's never a good thing. So get your battery unplugged safely from there, unplug from the balance port, and then power down your charger. So guys, hopefully this helps. This is basic LiPo charging, especially for you beginners, but we're going to have more videos coming, especially on storage charge and a lot of the different menus here on your standard charger. But if you guys are serious about RC and you're starting to collect LiPo batteries and you only have a little basic charger, it's time to get yourself a better charger. They could charge your batteries quicker in a safer manner, and we're also going to do a video talking about battery safety, because you never want to do what I did and just plug it in on a wood table. But this is our studio and how we have to do it here. It's a controlled area, but also, as I said, when your battery's charging, never leave them alone. Always be with them, and if you have to leave the room, you shut off all your chargers. I unplug everything just to be safe, and I will restart it up again when I have time. We've heard stories. Houses have burned down, workshops have burned down. LiPos can be dangerous when not attended to properly. So you beginners out there, don't fear them. Just remember to safety first when you're doing this. But guys, that's it for this quick tip on basic LiPo charging. Any other things you want to see in LiPos, please give us ideas in the comment section below. And we can't wait to see you next week on another quick tip.